Aatrox has all three buffs to selection, which means cheaper slayers, more XP, and better drops. We haven't covered a good way to get combat XP in months, and I plan on getting combat 50 in the coming days. So this is a perfect time to make a guide on the fastest way to reach combat 50 using Aatrox. Expect to see the following: the best pet to use when grinding, armor, swords, and bows at different price ranges to accommodate rich and poor players, tips on pathing to slay as many bosses as possible, and ways to earn money back from these slayers so it doesn't put a dent in your wallet. It's a lot to ask, but if you could take just a second to like the video, it goes a long way for me. And subscribe for more Skyblock guides and content. I stream often, so keep notifications on. Without further wasting time, let's get into it. First, let's go over some items everyone's going to want to have. The first one, obviously, your Aatrox bat phone. Second, the Raider's Axe. I'll explain more in a bit why I recommend a Raider's Axe. And third, for those of you with the high enough rank to use warps, get yourself a travel scroll to the hub crypts. This will allow you to switch hubs quickly if someone invades your hub and starts stealing all of your bosses and stuff. And you can do /warp crypts like this, and it teleports you directly to the crypts. So you can do this, you can go back to the hub, you can find yourself a new lobby, and get yourself a private lobby, since obviously doing a private lobby is better. Immediately warp to the crypt, and boom, you're here, saved a couple seconds of time. And it's just nice to be able to warp really quickly between the different locations in case you need to swap hubs. For the first half of this video, I'm going to cover all of the gear and strats for the top level high players that I would recommend who are working their way towards combat 50 as fast as possible. Money isn't really an issue here, you just want to get combat 50 now. For armor, pick yourself up a pair of wither goggles and whatever armor gives you a ton of intelligence. My choice is Storm. I'm pretty sure you can get away with Wise Dragon armor for this. Pet, obviously, this is going to go for everyone. Wolf Pet gives the combat XP we need. And for a weapon of choice, Ink Wand. 2 million damage. We can one-shot him. Now, the reason I'm not going to use Hyperion is because check this out. Hyperion actually doesn't give combat XP when you explode them with the Wither Impact ability. But when you saw me use the Ink Wand, I'll show it here in about 4 seconds, it actually still gives the combat XP. So we're able to one-shot the boss and still get all of the XP from it. And since the Ink Wand only has a 15-second cooldown, you'll be able to one-shot a boss every single time. For slaying the mini-bosses, I mean, just grab a Reaper Falchion or anything you want to do and just one-tap them. The mini-bosses aren't really that much of an issue. So for this next clip, I'll go through a full run-through of what it's like to run this at max efficiency. So I like to shoot one when I first see them, shoot one over to the left, shoot one down. I like to try to stay ahead of where I'm going. Then we go over here, take it down here, and then do a fully charged shot, the golden one. Spam a couple in this room, move on. If you hear the mini-boss, turn around and go to slay it. And there we go, we're close to spawning a boss, so probably in a couple hits here. Since I know I'm about to spawn one, I can go up here and actually get these guys. Here we go. And then once your boss spawns, just Ink Wand it the second he spawns, and you're dead. Let's see how long that took. That was a pretty decent run. We got kind of decent luck there. And that whole boss took 23 seconds. For the mid-game budget build, we're going to be using 3/4 Necrotic Wise Dragon armor, and then we're going to be using a Necrotic Shadow Goggles piece. Now, here's the thing. You're going to actually have to reforge all of your talismans to something like Demonic in order to be able to take out the boss with the Ink Wand, because right now, as you can see, I'm barely able to take it out of mine. Now, my talismans aren't reforged for mana yet, because I don't technically need to, and it would be 8 million coins if I wanted to. But if you're not able to slay the boss yet because you don't have enough mana or magic damage to be able to do it, please reforge your talismans to Demonic or Bizarre, preferably Demonic since it keeps some of your strength stats, so you're able to do more damage no matter what you do. But as you can see, I do 1.2 million damage, so we're plenty fine for being able to take out the boss. For the bow, you can stick with the Magma Bow, use the same pet. Of course, the Wolf Pet's going to be your go-to for this since you get 30% more combat XP. Now, I'm also going to show a run-through with this gear, but of course, it's going to be pretty similar to the last one since it's going to be using basically the same exact gear, except I'm going to do slightly less damage. Unfortunately, we have someone over here in our spot while I'm trying to record, which isn't completely ideal, so we're just going to kind of take a couple of these guys. Since I was here first, I call dibs on the cave and stuff. But ideally, you don't want to share a cave with people when you're doing this. It might even be easier just honestly just hit the stupid golden ones with your sword, because sometimes your bow doesn't like to crit because of server lag or whatever, so you don't get to time it optimally, but ideally you just one-shot him with that. See, my bow does like 100,000 damage, so you're perfectly fine doing this. Once a mini-boss spawns, just switch to your Reaper Falchion or whatever your main sword is to take them out. It's a little bit faster. And then use the Ink Wand on the boss. Okay, looks like I needed to hit it one more time because I didn't quite do enough damage. But essentially, that's what you want to do to get this done. Now for the last part of the video, we will cover a budget build that lets you pretty much make all of your money back while doing this. Of course, this will slightly depend on RNG, how many pieces of foul flesh you'll get, but we're going to go through and see how many coins we can possibly get. This will be much slower than our other methods of tryharding combat XP, but you'll be saving a lot of your money. So if you're really concerned about money, use this one if you need to. The secret to this is basically going to be using the Raider's Axe, since the Raider's Axe, of course, gives you 20 coins per monster you kill. If we take this out, I have 42, and then we get about 200 coins from slaying one mob, which is pretty darn decent, I would say. And you basically, instead of using a magma bow, just want to use a scavenger 4, or, I mean, if you're rich enough, scavenger 5, and if you already own a Daedalus Axe, I mean, you get more coins, but Daedalus Axe is like 20 mil, so if you don't own one, honestly, a Raider's Axe will do you perfectly fine. Now, the strats are slightly different when using an axe instead of a bow, because you actually have to run up all the way to enemies and attack them, which means there are different things I'm actually going to recommend that are slightly different than the usual. For starters, go into your cookie buff settings and disable the rabbit and the jump boost potions. Now, you will lose a little bit of speed doing this, but the reason I recommend you do this is because when you jump over something, and you will have to jump at some point during this, for example, if you're trying to just run up a little cliff or something and you stumble and you need to jump, instead of being launched up into the sky drastically slowing yourself, you'll be able to be on the ground much longer instead of kind of staying up longer, which means you're able to run faster, since when you're running on the ground, you run significantly faster than when you're jumping in the air with a rabbit potion. Next, make sure you have your hotbar organized properly. I have my Hyperion in the first slot purely for teleporting, and my Raider's Axe in the second slot for quick swapping, and then my Reaper Falchion in my 7th slot because I have a mouse hotkey set to it. So when I spawn a mini-boss, I can just simply switch over to the Reaper Falchion and take him out with the sword. And my final tip is over in the community shop. Hey, check that out. Speaking of this, max out the Magic Find skill. And, you know, we're going to start this upgrade, because why not? But more importantly, go to the bits shop, get the enrichment swapper. I already have one, and swap all of your enrichment talismans over to Magic Find. The reason you would want to do this is so you get 0.5 Magic Find for every legendary and mythic talisman you have. This will increase the chance of you getting Foul Flesh or other rare drops, which of course, as you can see, we would sell to the Bazaar for 30,000 coins, making 5,000 more coins back from the Slayer, because since Aatrox is going to be mayor, obviously we're going to be doing Slayers at half price, which is amazing. And of course, to end the video off, I will show the Raider's Axe setup in action over doing a tier 4 Rev. Let me get a little bit closer to the low cave so I can show a little bit of consistency. There we go. Do this, we're going to start our tier 4 quest, and we're not going to be using the bow at all, we're purely going to be using the Raider's Axe. Now, mine has cleave because I'm really dumb. Don't put cleave on your sword, it doesn't work, it just makes things buggy. But you just want to go through and do this, take everything out as you can, as you normally would, and oh yeah, we have the mythological ritual still going on since I'm recording this a few hours before the Aatrox event actually starts. So you might see a couple of those guys while I'm doing this, since they like to spawn whenever I record. And if you're using the same items, you can use the ink wand like that, and then just switch over to the Reaper Falchion for the very end there. And, oh, we got an Undead Catalyst. Unfortunately, that's worth nothing because, you know, that's just how this game works. But anyways, that's just about it. Well, that's it for our Slayer guide. If you guys have any other comments or tips for anyone else watching the video, feel free to leave them in the comments. Be sure to like the video if you found this useful or not. Subscribe if you want to see more guides, since I am Mr. Skyblock Guide Man. I'm the best guy to subscribe to for Skyblock guides. So have a great day, y'all, and hopefully you guys have some good combat XP grinding sessions. Take care.